If you're looking for me, you can find me. Pimpin' getting riches, grinding. And ain't no use in even trying me. 45 piece beside me. Now let the church say amen again. Church say amen again. Church say amen again. Purse first, ass last, get your bag and win.
What's going on, people? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's your boy E-Man, Coach E-Man, or just Emmanuel with another episode of the More Life Podcast. As we know, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so I'm going to be doing a podcast, a few episodes highlighting sexual assault awareness. Today, we have two good friends of mine on today, and we'll be talking about some things that happen in their lives and just how they've dealt with sexual assault on this month. We have Miss Tina Watson. Her real name is Tina Watson, but we call her Tina, and my frat brother, Rosby Somerville. You guys introduce yourselves and then we'll go forward.
Hello, my name is Tina Watson. I am a 20 plus year survivor of sexual assault. I don't know how much more you want, Emmanuel. I mean, I could give you a whole book and a list.
Tell them about you, just who you are, introducing yourself. Who is Tina?
That's a loaded question. So professionally, I am Dr. Tina Watson. I am an educator with over a decade of knowledge about educational leadership and management. Currently, I am an instructor in medicine and course director at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. I'm a published author, and I'm an aunt and a fierce godmother. I am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, over 20 years of membership there. I'm just a fierce and dope individual that is very excited to be on this podcast today. Thanks.
Well, that's what's up, and I appreciate this fierce, dope individual being here. Now, my next person is my frat brother, Rosby, but again, I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, everyone. My name is Rosby Somerville. Like Emmanuel said, I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I live in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, and I am a residential care shift manager with DHS, where we help take care of individuals with mental and physical disabilities. I've been a member of Phi Beta Sigma for 18 years now, and still going strong. I'm a pretty simple guy. I'm pretty laid back. I'm a fun-loving guy and everything, but when it's time to get down to business, hey, I can handle the punches, so it's all good.
All right, that's what's up. I appreciate you for that, Rosby. So as we know, like I said, this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I'll be having 3 episodes. One of my episodes will be a 2-part episode. This is actually episode 3 that we're working on, and this is titled Passion and Aggression, Intimate Partner Sexual Assault. So with that, I'm gonna go in and let Tina tell you guys her story, and then we'll get Rosby's story, and then we'll get into some questions on how they've dealt with things, how they've healed, or how they're trying to heal, and what are they doing going forward. So Tina, the table is yours.
Thanks. So I was 17. I was a senior in high school. Go Bears, Seven Hills High School in Sherwood, Arkansas. And I was dating a guy that was 21. So of course I really should have known that was a little bit too old for me, but he was my best friend's boyfriend's best friend. So my best friend, her guy, and I decided that I would skip Upward Bound and go back to her house. Crazy enough, none of them had a car. I was the only one with the car. So go figure, I go pick up my boyfriend and we go back to my best friend's house, and we're laughing, we're talking. We go back to her room. Her mom and brother are not there. We start, just having wholesome fun, I would say, until at one point when the guys went over and unscrewed the light bulb. Chantel went back and screwed it on. They unscrewed. It was a back and forth game to finally someone unscrewed it and threw it across the room, and it shattered. And then they started trying to take her pants off, but in the moment, I thought it was just like fun and games until my boyfriend said, hey, I want to talk to Tina by herself. So they left. and in her room was a window, and out of the window literally is the front porch. And so in this moment, I'm thinking, oh, because I'm still young, maybe he just kind of wants to break up with me. And yeah, no, the next thing I know, he forces me back on the bed with one hand, bounds both of my wrists together. With the other hand is just pulling all my clothes off. And then he inches his body all the way up, literally sitting on my chest where I can't breathe, and told me that I had to suck his, can I say the word or can I not say the word? I can't say the word.
You
I
can
had
say
to-
whatever you want to say.
Okay. I'll just keep it PG. I had to perform oral sex on him in that moment. And so I'm yelling, I'm screaming, no, please stop. No, 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 please stop. And of course he forced it, and being 17, I was still a virgin. I didn't know what I was doing. You know, he made fun of me for not being able to do what was asked of me. He told me I was worthless. I wasn't even worthy of having a boyfriend, being in love, or even having sex with him. Told me that I was nothing and I needed to put my clothes on and take him home. And so of course, being 17, I didn't know any better. I asked my best friend, hey, can you go with me? Mind you, Upper Bound ends about 8:30, 9 o'clock. It is almost like 10:15 at this point. So my mom is blowing me up, and I'm just trying to think of like, what do I do to get home? We take them home, and on the ride back, I ask her or tell her like, hey, he violated me. Did you not hear me? And she was like, oh, I heard you. We heard you. We just thought you guys were playing. So she literally was like earshots away, heard the entire thing and never came to save me. And needless to say, we are no longer friends at this point. But when I got home, my mother, by that time, I mean, you guys are from Arkansas, so you know, she lived in Southwest Arkansas. I lived in Jacksonville. They lived literally like right off Daisy Bates. So literally going from Sherwood to Daisy Bates, from Daisy Bates back to, well, not Sherwood, from Southwest to Daisy Bates back to Southwest, and then from Southwest all the way booking it to Jacksonville. I think I made that entire trip in about 25 minutes. Y'all know that's impossible, right? I think I made it home at like 11-ish, and my mother was furious, but she was like, I don't know where you've been. I don't know what's happening. I'm not even going to punish you because the look on your face is punishment enough, not knowing that her daughter had just been sexually assaulted. I did not tell my story for 10 years. I went to college, graduated in 4 years, started a job, went through countless types of relationships. Yeah. And 10 years later, decided to tell my parents, friends, through a magazine, and then that motivation prompted me to write a book. And so within that book, I told my story, and I've been telling it ever since. But that's my story.
Okay, so one thing you said, fun and games, right? We always think at that age it's fun and games because we're kids, not knowing the magnitude of what really is taking place.
Yep.
And I know you said you're no longer friends with her, but I can get the mindset where she thought that y'all were just playing, but something should have still said, let me go check, right? But I mean, when you're teenagers and you know how we were, we played around, we did things. Somebody will holler and say, ooh, stop, even hit you, but it's not, I'm hitting you because I'm upset. I'm hitting you because, we playing type stuff, right? So I get that. And too often we blame stuff on fun and games when we need to really be saying it's serious and we need to really take note of this. One question, well, no, I'll ask after. So Rosby, let's dive into you, man. Talk to me, man. Tell me your story.
Well, I was actually in my 20s, and it's a little bit different, I guess, with me, because when it comes to men and sexual assault, no man wants to feel like they've been dominated by someone else. So this is exactly, where I found myself, trying to actually, navigate the dating scene and everything. Met this one guy on this app, and we were chatting back and forth, and he invited me over and everything so that we could, watch television, get to know each other. I was like, okay, that's cool, sounds good. So, he comes and he picks me up and brings me over to his house, and we're doing exactly what the plan was. We're watching television, and everything seems cool until then, like Miss Dr. Tina said, all of a sudden it's the play fighting and everything, the play fighting and the wrestling and the pushing back and forth and all, the giggling or whatever. And okay, it was all good at one point, but then it escalated. And it escalated to a point where I was no longer comfortable. And for him, no wasn't an option. Anything, for him, that was not it. Me telling him no, it went in the left ear and out the right ear. It was nothing. So the fact that, and I mean, I'm considerably larger than I was then. I probably, oh Lord, I was maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. There was no way I was going to be able to fight off this almost 200-pound man and everything. He basically literally overpowered me, held me down and did whatever he wanted to do to my body at that time, regardless of whatever I said. Me telling him to stop, me, saying, hey, this hurts, this is not good, this is not what I'm here for. Right. None of that resonated with him. It was all about what he wanted at that time. And where we were, where his house was, I can't even actually remember. I know it was like somewhere over in North Little Rock, but it was so far away from where I live. Mm-hmm. If I had been able to get away from him, I still don't know where I was or how I would have gotten back home. So once he finished, then I had to endure being with him until he took me back home, because he had picked me up. So not only with that, but then, so I've already been assaulted by him, and then I have to endure his presence for much longer until he decides to take me home. That was rough. That was definitely.
So this goes into my first question. Tina, you said it took you 10 years to tell your family. So I want to know two questions. Rosby, first question, did you ever tell anybody what happened? Did you get a chance to express, to say, hey, this happened to me? Or it was just something that you just, as like you said, us being men, you just chunked it up and said, forget it?
The crazy part about it is that with that particular instance, that wasn't the first time that I had been assaulted, but the first time it didn't go all the way. Like, it was interrupted by an outside source. Okay. And so what I dealt with at that time with the first one was that I did go and actually speak to someone. And I don't know if Dr. Watson could attest to this, but when you go speak with certain people, it's almost a secondary assault. And that's all is even worse than the first one, because then you have to be subjected to all of the questions. Well, what were you doing there? What were you wearing? Why were you there so late? How come you didn't leave? You sure you couldn't fight him off? Well, what did you do to encourage the situation? And everything. So the mental assault that people that you think you can trust put on you can be worse than the actual physical assault itself. So by the time the second time happened, where it actually went through and all the way, I didn't want to tell anyone, because that first time made me feel so bad, and I hadn't even gone through the whole process of it. So that second time, after actually enduring the full sexual assault, it took me forever to actually open up and speak to anybody about that one. And the only reason why I spoke up is because I was talking with someone who was dealing with the same issue.
Okay.
And so me being there and actually living it kind of made them feel a little bit more comfortable and open with sharing their story with me.
Understandable. Okay, so with that, my first question, I want to know from both of you, did you ever get a chance to face the person that did it after, however long after, and tell them how they made you feel, what they did, or anything like that?
Dr. Watts, go ahead.
And you can just call me Tina, and you don't
Okay.
have listen, you don't sign my checks, so you can affectionately call me Tina. Trust me. So yeah, for me, I didn't. Honestly, if he were to walk by me today, I wouldn't even know or remember what he looked like. At
Okay.
17, it was a big deal to date somebody that was 21. Mentally, in my mind, I was very mature for my age. Again, I was going to college at 17. So, I mean, for me, that was like I was really mature mentally. But if he would have walked by me right now, I wouldn't remember what he looked like. The only thing I can remember is his first name. And here's the crazy part about dating back in the early 2000s, because I graduated high school in 2002. You didn't really date. Let's be very clear. Like, dating was, you only knew their first name. You had a phone number. I don't know the man's last name. I don't know his birthday. Like, there are a lot of things about him I didn't know. So even if I wanted to say, hey, Edward such and such did XYZ to me, I can't. The only thing I can do and tell the police is how to get to his house. I don't even know
Okay.
the address. You know what I mean? Like, because that's how dating was. Like, I didn't meet him on a website or anything like that. I didn't meet him at school. I literally was with my best friend, and she wanted me to go to her guy house, and they lived in the same neighborhood. And he just kind of came over and was like, "Hey, hey," and then it just kind of went from there,
Went from
right?
there. Okay, I see.
Yeah. So I never got a chance to tell him, like, what he did to me, how it affected me. None of that. And I think the remnants of that entire experience definitely followed me. I'm about to be 40. It definitely followed me well into many years afterwards. And it shows up almost every time I'm in a relationship or in a situationship or whatever the case may be, because it's still lingering. And I know we may talk later, but to really answer your question, no, I never got the chance to tell him. And I never got a chance to say to her what I really felt. Because again, as Black women, now I didn't know it then, I know it now, but as Black women, we got to stand up for each other. You and Black people, period. But really, as Black women, like, sometimes people are not speaking up for us. And so if we don't stand together as a unit to say, hey, that's my girl, right? If the shoe was on the other foot, I don't care who I'm talking to on whatever. First of all, you're in my house, so I'm coming in immediately. You can't stop me from coming in my room, my house, to do what I want to do. But if that's my friend in there, even if I think she's playing, like you said, I'm going in there to check on my friend. Now, if y'all in there getting it in, okay, my bad. I was just checking, make sure she all right. At least she knows I have her back. I didn't feel protected in any sense. So, yeah.
I got you. Rosby, what about you?
Yeah, that's definitely the only thing. Like Tina said, I couldn't identify him if I wanted to. The only thing that, I had just met them on an app, didn't even know their name. The only thing that I remember about him is like having a bunch of tattoos on his arm and everything. That's nothing that would hold up in any court of law or whatever. So I didn't get a chance to actually tell him how I was feeling or whatever, because I was terrified. The only thing on my mind at that point was just drop me. I don't care if you drop me off 10 miles away from home. I'll find my way home. just get me
just
out.
get me the hell away from here.
Yeah, I just got to get away from you. With when I actually spoke to some friends about it, the fact that they didn't believe me is what made me pretty much shut it down, because I was like, I know, and I know that people make things up, but most people are going to be very honest about things that have happened to them, especially something traumatic. And if I came to you as a friend to confess this to you, the last thing I want to get is the third degree,
Right.
questioning me about you. I mean, they literally made it seem like I asked for it to happen and everything. So that part right there, like I didn't lash out at them, but in the back of my mind, I already knew if anything else traumatic were to happen to me, I'd never go to them.
So let's talk about that real quick. Why do you think, and this may just be the Black community, or it could be, I don't know, but I know I see it a lot in the Black community. Why do you think it is so hard for our friends or our family to believe us when we say, hey, this has happened to me and it bothered me or it hurt and I don't know what to do, so I'm coming to you? Why is that so hard for people to believe that a woman or a man can be sexually assaulted?
To be honest with you, I don't think it's the fact that people have a hard time believing. I think the issue is so like in higher education, we are mandatory reporters, right? So if a student came to me and said, hey, somebody did XYZ to me, I am mandated by law, Title IX, that I have to report it, right? And a lot of times in your mind, you say, when a student walks into your office and says, hey, I want to talk to you, the first thing you normally think is, please don't tell me. I don't want to be the one to have to report and say, because then it's like, I don't know what kind of support to give you, right? So I really don't, my opinion is, I don't think people have a hard time saying like, oh, Rosby was assaulted, Tina was assaulted. I think it's the fact that when you lay it at their doorstep, they now have to figure out, how do I support them? And I don't know what to do with that, because I see it on TV, Law and Order SVU, where people are talking about it, but it doesn't hit my door. So I can just say, oh, I hate that form and move on with life. Now someone that I personally know is dealing with it. Now they're going to expect me to be there for them, to listen to them, to give them advice, to hold their hand. And some people either not mentally capable of it, or they've gone through it themselves and they don't know how to fully show up for that person and still try to figure out how to show up for themselves. So, I mean, that's just my own opinion. And you could be right. I mean, some people just, they just can't believe it, or no, you got to be lying. You just trying to like show up, show out kind of thing. But sometimes I really think it's because people don't know how to handle big stuff like that. And it really puts them in a bad space of, now I've got to figure out how to help you through this. And that's way above my pay grade. But I could be wrong.
Rosby, what about you?
I actually agree with everything that you said. And also, speaking, primarily for the Black community, many of us grew up in these households where what happened in this house stayed in. And so we've been raised to know that we don't tell everybody our business. And things that were discussed in the house, you found a way to deal with it. We weren't going to tell everybody our business. Therapy is so stigmatized within the Black community. They feel like if you are going out, you're spreading too much business. You don't go out and everything. We deal with this in-house. So when it comes to something as sensitive as sexual assault, like Tina said, nobody wants to deal with that. It takes a lot of time and effort, and not just listening, but active listening. That's one thing I've learned about, working with DHS. Like she said, mandated reporters. If somebody were to come, if one of my clients comes to me and say, hey, so-and-so put their hands on me, I'm required by law to go tell them. And if I don't, not only can I lose my job, but I can end up on a registry as well for failure to report. So I in those instances with my job, I know that I have to be there to actually listen to people and understand what's going on and, try to figure out the best way to move forward. But outside of that job, and especially talking with friends and family, they don't understand that mindset. So they don't even think about it. They're like, okay, this is not something I want to deal with. I don't personally have the time to talk with someone to comfort them because I don't know how to do so, especially if they've dealt with sexual assault themselves and they haven't dealt with it. If they pushed it to the back of their mind, y'all forget my voice. I'm still getting over bronchitis. But if they pushed it to the back of their mind, they haven't even dealt with it themselves. So there's no way in the world they're going to be able to help somebody else navigate this very difficult process of acceptance. Because I know we go through the denial, we go through the anger, we go through the regret, we go through where we're questioning ourselves. What did I do? And in fact, and all of that whole process, most people don't know how to help anyone else navigate it because they haven't navigated it themselves in many other aspects of trauma, because sexual assault is just one instance of trauma. But you've got people who have dealt with domestic violence and bullying and child abuse and everything, but it's always been pushed to the back of their mind. So helping else out, it's foreign to them.
Okay. So I want to get into this next question of when this happened, how did you navigate after? Not just healing, because we're gonna talk about the healing process, but how did you navigate after? As in, I told some people, and Tina, you may not, you said you waited 10 years, so you didn't tell anybody, but how did you navigate after with, trying to live your life, trying to be happy, and even possibly the dating scene?
So yeah, I did what I think I've been doing probably my whole life, is I put a mask on and I went just fine. Like, my family, again, never knew. My friends never knew. Some of them were like, oh my God, you like what? 10 years ago, I still can remember the day I told my dad. And it was as if it happened last night or 10 minutes ago. Like, he was literally that emotional. My mom was a little bit calmer, but I went through life as if nothing happened. When we talk about relationships, though, that's a whole nother thing. Like, I didn't navigate it properly. I literally went through the phase. I went through the 304 phase. Yeah, I was there. I was out there because I thought I wanted to prove his words wrong. I wanted to prove I was worthy of being in a relationship. I was worthy of giving my body to people. And so I was just, your girl was there. I was there. I can't lie. I mean, I don't know who's gonna watch this, and Lord, I just pray my parents do not, but I was there, right? I was that girl. Because I was looking for love. I wanted someone to protect me. I wanted to be able to figure out how to combat this man abusing me, assaulting me, and making me feel like I wasn't shit, to, hey, I got you. I love you. I'm protecting you. And I never found it. If I'm going to be honest, I never found it in human form. And it's only by the grace of God that I am still living, that I am disease free, that I have no children. Like, God, when I say he kept me in the midst of all of that. Because I literally was just spiraling out of control. But it was a spiral that only my really close friends saw, but they didn't understand why the spiral was happening. Because again, they didn't know.
Right.
But yeah, I know now, looking back, I didn't handle any of that 10-year gap and beyond well at all. And I'm still kind of unpacking that with my new life coach and with my therapist, trying to figure out like what do I need to do different in life. But to be honest, I'm still, even at this stage in my life, I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate being assaulted all those years ago, and figuring out like I'm enough. And if somebody doesn't see it, then they just don't see it.
That's right. That is absolutely correct.
Right.
And
Thank you.
don't feel bad about it, because I went through that phase. I know exactly the phase that you're talking about, where you just want any sort of positive attention. You almost you want it to be genuine love and everything. Oh, this person is showing me attention. Let me reciprocate this attention and give them everything so that they will actually love me. And it wasn't that. It was just us reaching out, trying to find someone that was going to make us feel better about ourselves, because this other person had taken away something that was so deeply personal to us and everything. So yeah, I went through that. I didn't know what you're talking about. I went through that phase and everything, and I did not navigate. I didn't navigate life well at all. Anyone that wanted some, and it was something that I could do, I was down for it.
Yep.
And everything.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets rough. It takes you to there. It takes you to that spot.
Is it a spot of not caring, or is it a spot of? Well, I'm
For
not gonna
me,
say
it's
wanting attention, because I don't think a person wants attention after something like that happens. So yeah.
right. It's a lot of validation and everything.
Okay.
You want someone to validate who you are as a person, because this other person has basically made you feel like you don't belong, that you aren't anything and everything. So it was like a desperation plea. Like, I'm reaching out to someone to actually love me and everything outside of my family and everything. And the dating scene, everyone wants to find that person that gives them those heart palpitations, and you get those butterflies in your stomach and all this other stuff.
Right.
But
Right.
after you've been sexually assaulted, a lot of that ends up coming out wrong, because any gesture of kindness will give you those feelings, because you're like, oh, maybe this person actually does love me, or let me try to make this work and everything,
Okay.
because I don't want to scare someone else off because I'm damaged. And that's what you're thinking. I'm damaged goods.
So there, when you said I'm damaged, when did you realize that you didn't want to be damaged anymore?
For me, it was pretty much loneliness.
Okay.
I still, as many things that I've gone through in life, I still wholeheartedly believe in love. And I still want to be with that forever person. So for me, I had to, like I said, I wasn't able to, I wasn't able to access therapy and stuff like that. So I had to go back into my own brain and somehow pull myself out of this. Like, Rosby, you didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't your fault. You weren't over there too late. You weren't wearing something you weren't supposed to. You did not ask for this to happen. It was a daily constant struggle of encouraging myself that this was not your fault. This was something to you, but it doesn't have to be something that you keep doing to yourself in your mind. I had to
Okay.
bring my mind out of it. And that was a
Okay.
hard thing to do.
Okay. So Tina, what about you? When did you realize the same thing? I'm damaged, but I don't want to be damaged anymore.
I think when a piece of it started when I wrote my book, which is entitled Shattered but Not Broken.
Okay.
Realized that a lot of times when people look at a broken mirror, they think like, oh, I can't use this anymore, right? But to be shattered means that you still have fight in you left. You're still put together. Your pieces are just not merged like they should be. And that doesn't mean that you still can't see a reflection of who you are and still see beauty in what you see in that mirror. It may
Okay.
look distorted, but it's still a picture nonetheless. You just got to find your way back to being able to see through the cracks, seeing through the disfiguration that, hey, I'm still here, I still matter. That was just like the tip of it. And then over time, I've mentored young women. I've told my story. I've hosted brunches in awareness of sexual assault, really just being vulnerable. And it was in those moments that I realized, like, I don't want to be damaged. I would love to be a wife. I would love to be a mother. I would love to be the person that people can come to when they're having moments like this. I want to be that friend that if any of my friends go through what half of the things I've gone through, that they know that they can come to me. You don't want to be damaged goods for the rest of your life, right? You don't want to be the victim always. You want to be the victor, and having victory and being able to say, I've overcome this. Watch how I did it. Listen to how I did it, and be able to be the success story that God can use, the vessel for other people. I mean, it's a heavy thing to hold. And if you continue to hold it, I mean, you will miss out on so many different blessings. And things that God can take you. I feel like if I would have held on to being damaged, I wouldn't be Dr. Watson. But I do think that the woman that sits before you needed to go through that at 17. Needed to go through the phase to get me to this point where, I don't take anything from anybody. There may be a few things, but it ain't a lot that I'm out here taking. And the strength of a woman really can be because of the testimony or the test that she's gone through to get her to this spot. So it's still a ongoing journey. I still go through it every day, just trying to help myself realize I'm not damaged.
So that brings me to my next question. I've seen on Facebook and I've heard even some people say that, about them being damaged, but I've also heard them say that they felt like they deserved that to happen to them, for them to be assaulted because they put themselves in that situation. I met this guy, I met this girl, and so I deserve that because I put myself in this situation. But myself, I think that came from others, in their ear, making them feel that way. But I have heard that, and I know you guys probably don't feel like that, but when it happened, did you feel like, okay, I deserve that because of this, how I went about this?
Yep. I did. Because again, I was a senior in high school, so I was in the college preparatory program Upper Bound at Philander Smith College. I mean, we were paying to go there. It's not a program that you're even supposed to pay for, but we were paying for me to go there. And literally, I wanted to be grown. And not that I felt like I deserved to be assaulted, but I felt like, here's what happens when you don't follow the rules, right? This is what you get when you blatantly go against everything your parents told you not to do. That's what you do. Sorry. I'm like,
It's
what?
okay. Important.
Yeah.
You're important.
It's one of my kids, one of my students. Because I called them while before this even took place. So I'm sorry. But yeah, they, I felt like that was the thing. Like, because I didn't follow the rules, I got in trouble. And yeah, and even now, it's not that I feel like, oh, I needed or I deserved, but sometimes I do feel like I needed that to happen to get me to the place that I'm at today. Because I always wonder, if I had never gone through that, would I have been as outspoken? Would I have been so bubbly? Would I have been all of these things? But then the flip side is, would my light have dimmed? Because my light sometimes is dim. People don't see it because it's in a space that I don't show the dim light. Only those that really, really, really know me know what that dim light looks like for me. Most people see this light that's so bright because that's the light I can give off, right?
Okay.
I have two different lights. I have the ability to show both. But I just sometimes wonder, like, if I hadn't gone through that, would I be this multifaceted person that I am that can, you talk about code switching in corporate America, I can code switch as it pertains to my emotions and what I show you. I can look like I am just fine and I have it all together, but on the inside, I am still this little girl at 17 that cannot figure out how to break through and get people to see the real me, because I'm still trying to figure out if what I show people, while it is the real me, some of it is not as authentic as I would want it to be. And that's the honest to God truth.
Okay, code switching. Rosby, you answer, and then we're gonna talk about that code switching. You're on mute, brother. You are on mute, brother. You on mute, brother. There
Can you hear
go.
me?
Yeah, yeah.
But going right along the lines of what Tina was saying, and when you were wondering, what would have happened, that was the part that I had to deal with, because I did let it affect me. Everything. I couldn't figure out how to get out of that phase, because here I am, like the first time when I told y'all, that I was jumped on campus, and so something intervened and stopped it. But that traumatizing experience right there, it took me out and everything. Like, I couldn't focus on school, because inevitably walking across campus, I'd see him, going to the cafeteria. I couldn't focus on eating because he would ultimately be in there. And every time I'd look up, I'd see him looking at me. So it was the paranoia. I was afraid I was going to end up in a stairwell with him. I was going to end up in a hallway or something. And heaven forbid, I definitely wasn't going back to the basement of the boys' dorm to do any laundry, because that's where it happened the first time. So it took me out. Like, I ended up having to drop out of school because I couldn't focus. I never graduated, got my 4-year degree and everything, because I couldn't navigate that and everything. Because, growing up, I wasn't going to the parties and everything. I started singing gospel with my mother at 9 years old, and we went traveling around Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and Louisiana and Oklahoma for the next 27 years and everything. So going to parties and going to college parties or trying to date and everything, all of this was new to me. So for that to happen, it traumatized me so much that I couldn't pull myself back from it and everything for a long time. And I ended up having to drop out of school. I was in school to be to be Dr. Somerville. I was going to be a heart surgeon and everything. That's where my focus was and everything. But after that happened, life came at me very fast, and I was not able to handle it and everything. But like Tina said, it also turned me into something else as well. If I had not gone through that, I definitely wouldn't be the outspoken person. Emmanuel knows me. I am high energy. I am
Energizer Blue.
I'm in your face, but I'm also now very cautious, and I keep my antennas up and things. So when I see a situation going left, I'm more aware of it now because of the things that I've dealt with. So yeah.
I get it. Now to the term code switching. Because Tina said that, right? How she can, put on and be and do all that. Rosby, did you feel you had to do that as well? To navigate or to get through?
Definitely. Because like you said, there are days when I didn't want to get up. Want to see anybody. I did not want to go out and interact with anyone, but I still had things to do. No, I may not have, finished school, but I had a job I had to go out. I had bills to pay because I still had bills and stuff that I needed to pay. I was like, okay, this is my lot in life. I've got to go out and I've got to make a living the best way that I can. And in my experience, people, it's not that they don't want to care, but it's not their job to care for me.
Right.
And so I had to make sure that I could take care of myself. So yeah, at the time I was feeling horrible on the inside and everything about things that have happened, but I got to put on a smiling face, especially, I worked in hotels for a long time. You've got to have that smiling face. You got to deal with all types of personalities with guests and everything coming through. And I didn't have the luxury of being able to just regress. I had to move forward.
Okay.
So that code switching, that's real. You have on that mask and that smile and good morning, how are you doing? And everything. And inside you're like, I really don't even want to be here.
Yep.
Right, but you still have to continue to push forward. I get you. So now let's talk about healing.
Mhm.
If you are healed, what did that process look like? But if you are in the process of healing, because for some people it just takes longer, what are you doing to be healed?
Rosby, I'll let you go.
You want me to go? Okay. I was actually thinking about this before we got onto this subject. The crazy part about it is that I watch a lot of television, and so this makes sense to me. The show back in the day, Xena, Warrior Princess. There was this
I love
episode.
Xena.
Yeah, there was this episode where they're talking about things that happen in their life, and Xena picks up a rock and throws it into a lake and troubles the water. And she tells, Gabrielle, you throw the stone to the lake, it messes up the water and everything. Gabrielle says, yeah, but if you stay here long enough, the water will go back calm. Xena says, yes, but the stone is still in the lake. It is forever a part of the lake. That's what traumatizing situations are. We're able to heal from the trauma, but the trauma is still forever a part of us.
Mhm.
So healing for me was more about acceptance and everything. Yes, this happened to you, but this is not you and everything. I had to get to the point where I was like I said, I went through my 304 phase. It still affects relationships today because trying to talk to a guy, if he starts getting aggressive or trying to get assertive, that memory pops back into my head and nothing's going to work and everything. So I have to let the people know, listen, I don't mind you I love confidence and all this, but rudeness and selfishness and arrogance, that will shut me down and there will be nothing that you can get out of me and everything. So that the trauma is still a part of me, but it's not holding me back. What it is, it's making me stronger.
I like
and more
that.
aware.
I like that. I like that. Tina, what about you?
Yeah, just like Rosby said, I've been thinking about this before when you first mentioned it. And I don't think I've done any direct healing processes. I think over time, through telling the story, through seeing other friends going through some of the same things, being able to release it in a book, tell it to my students on college campuses, and really just getting out there and being an advocate for people to feel like they have a place to come to, I think is what has been healing for me. But again, like Rosby said, it's a process. It'll always be with you. Again, there are moments when I'm in a relationship and if he, grabs my wrist, it's a flashback, right? Or if
Right.
it's a moment of something that happened in that, sometimes it's a flashback and it'll hit me and I'll wonder, am I really over this? And then I'll say, I am, but it's still pieces of me that moves that still can feel the remnants of what was there. And so I think for me, I've done as much healing in that particular situation that I think that I can do. I don't think there's anything else that I can do from that, but to continue to do podcasts like this, make friends like Rosby. Rosby and I are actually Facebook friends, but we've never really spoken before. So just making new connections and friends, being support systems for people who don't have a voice. I think allows that continuous healing process to happen. But to be honest with you, there are just some moments that I don't think I just sat down and did the work. Let's just be honest. If I'm gonna call it what it is, I didn't sit down and do the work. The work kind of did me. Through just being called and listening to what God said to do. Like my friend, I have different small groups of friends that never really came together, but something in me said, hey, why don't you create a brunch for people to be more aware? And literally it was about 15 to 20 of us sitting at a restaurant sharing stories that you didn't even know half of these people had gone through some of the things they had gone through, or new people who had gone through that. And it was just an enlightening experience to have a group of Black women just celebrating our greatness and being able to be aware of what's out there, and sharing those testimonies with other people. And so honestly, I didn't put the work in. And I'm gonna be honest. Like people who know me know I go hard for the things I need to do. And I give it everything I have. But for that, I didn't willingly put the work in and say I want to be healed. I just went in and just started doing some of the work. And I think within that, it internally healed me on its own. And that, again, that's by the grace of God, because otherwise, I don't know, the story could look a lot different, to be honest.
Okay, good. I like that. So
It sounds like with Tina, it sounds like you were more you receive healing from helping others.
Mm-hmm.
The story out there. So you're almost like me. Like I feel better when I help other people and everything,
Right.
because it makes me feel better about I'm not just letting life situations keep me down. I'm still trying to put that positivity out there in the universe, because I know it's going to come back to me and
Right.
everything. That's what it sounds like. You got your healing from helping other people tell their story and heal as well.
Yeah, I think it's having a servant heart and
Yes.
being in the transformative leadership mode that really kind of helps put those things in perspective for you. I definitely agree. That I think our stories, while they look to be on two different ends of a spectrum, they're really kind of mirroring each other and very similar in a lot of ways. Because I think, we would have allowed these situations to really kind of get us to the place that it could have taken us, I don't think the world would have been a better place for that. Like, we don't need two people with high energy like what we have in those kinds of spaces. And so I'm just really glad we were able to kind of maneuver our ways through working through it by helping other people kind of find their own truth.
that's
Sorry,
the
man. We
dope
kind
part.
of
No, you
took
good,
over the
man.
podcast.
Man, yeah, that's what this is for. That conversation. That's what this is for. Because again, I haven't been in you guys' situation, this situation. So that's exactly what this is for, to discuss and talk and bump heads like that, and I like that because you guys are still trying to help, and not linger and lay. I know people who've been molested, assaulted, and to this day, I'm 38 years old and still linger and lay in that stuff, and get triggered. Not saying that even if you healed, you won't get triggered, but they get triggered, and it's, what are you doing to grow from this? What are you doing to heal from this? And they can't answer it. They're just stuck. They're just in it. And it's just like a big ball of mess, Yes, they're going on, like you say, putting on a mask, and they're living their lives because they have to go on. But when they drink, when if they smoke, when they're around family, when they're around friends, or when they're by themselves, it comes out, and they're crying, they're emotional, or they're wilding out, they're fighting, and people are trying to figure out, well, where is this coming from? It's because I have this monkey on my back that I've yet to deal with, but I'm afraid to deal with it, and I somewhat don't know how to deal with it. And even if I tell my story of who did it to me, there's going to be people looking at me like they don't believe it, or why did you let this happen to you? And that's not fair.
And it's not. I think honestly, sometimes it's the people who you surround yourself with that really can make a difference. Because if it's people that really are down for you and they really know you to some extent of your core, they can see when there's a difference and they can stop you in moments, right? If you're drinking too much, if you're around me and I notice, I'm like, hey, man, well, that might be a little, there might be a little bit too much. Like, let's talk, let's take a walk, or if you're doing things out of your character and I know like that ain't really you, like something shifted. What's happening? And feeling like people can come and talk to you. I think the groups of people you have in your life have to actually make sense for the path that you're trying to take. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in that space and you're never going to be able to get out. Just imagine 10 years of holding a secret that big. 10 years is a long time that I literally could have been stuck in those moments, spaces, and places, right? But me, I love to write. I love to talk. I love to just be with people. So while I didn't tell them those things, I was wilding out. And my friends saw it and pulled my coattail real quick and was like, hey, like, I get it that you wilding, but this ain't really you. Why are you wilding so much? And I never told them why I was wilding. But it was the fact that somebody called me to the carpet to say, hey, this ain't you. Let's figure out what's going on. And it gave me courage to say, maybe I need to just say something, right? Like holding it ain't gonna do nothing. Because if I don't, I'm gonna end up being on somebody's skid row with some kind of needle or something in my arm. I've never done drugs, but I'm just saying, like, it could have
lead to that. It can lead to that, right?
And I think having a group of people that can call you on your coattail and they're not afraid to do it. I'm telling you, I've had some friends that pulled me to the carpet and was like, this ain't you. Like, I don't know what you're doing. I'm not sure why you're doing it, but this ain't really you. Like your stories that you tell. I mean, my friends love it when I tell my stories. My dating adventures have been crazy. I could write a book and it could be a bestseller. I've heard that. All my tapades is what I call them. I could write a book and it really could sell you some things because you'd be amazed by the things that I've gone through. Well, let's have a podcast about that later, Emmanuel. But my friends, like they knew, like some of them were just like, this ain't it, right? And so I think you gotta align yourself with people who will surely have your best interest at heart. I feel for Rosby because you didn't have the type of friends you needed in that moment and space. Anytime you've got friends that make you feel more of a victim after the attack has happened, it's not a good place to be, right? But it's evolving because they were young just like you. Your friends were young just like you. They hadn't lived life. They hadn't experienced much. So they really didn't know, but hopefully you now centered yourself to the point where you've got friends, family, support systems that really love on you. And if they see you slip at any moment, can pull you back and be like, hey, what's up? Do you need to talk? Are you good? What is it that I can do?
You actually just, you said something that was real profound because you actually gave my mantra in life. Like now, like my boss chose me for these 2 programs. I'm a well-being champion at my job. And also they put me through a program for mental health first aid. because what she recognized was that, like you said, with having that servant's heart and everything, she was like, you're the type of person, your personality draws people in and they open up to you and they don't mind talking. I cannot tell you how many complete strangers have seen me sitting somewhere and will tell me their entire life story because they were like, it's something about your energy that just draws us in. And I don't mind because some years ago, I adopted the mantra, let me be the person that I needed in this space and time. And so now that's what I do. If someone needs to talk, come talk to me. I don't care if it's 3:00 in the morning. Call me. Send me a text message. If I'm awake, I will talk to you. That's not a problem. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they can't come talk to me about something. And my boss recognized that and utilized it for the betterment of the staff and everything, because now they know if I'm going through something, I can go talk to Rosby. One, it's a vault. Confidentiality is paramount to me. I'm not going to spread your business around.
Right.
Talk to me. You know that you can get things off your chest. I can offer advice, or sometimes you may just need a listening ear.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even have a listening ear these days. Social media has ruined almost everything. They put everything on social media, or they have people that say that they're on their side, but some people only want to know your business so that they know your business. They can go off and tell somebody. When you find those few people that will hold your business like a vault, leave them. That is a very intricate part of healing. To anyone that's watching this podcast, find you your tribe. Get the people that really got your back. And you will be able to tell when they have your back.
Right.
True.
I like that. So, closing out in a few, your healing journey. Well, you already started talking to people listening to the podcast, Rosby, but how would you describe, I don't know, how can I say it? I don't want to say your healing journey, but to the people out here that's dealing with sexual assault, who've dealt with it and don't know where to go, don't know who to turn, how would you assist them? How would you help them?
For me, and I know it's easier said than done, but you have to get up and actively decide, I want to get better. And that's going to take a lot of trust, and trust is hard to come by these days, but you have to find at least one person that you're going to place your trust in, that you're pretty sure that they're going to listen to you. It could be a counselor, it could be a therapist. Find someone that you can talk to, because once you start talking, it becomes easier to talk, in my experience. But it's getting started. That first step is always the hardest one to make and everything. But once you find someone, hey, if y'all want to reach out to me and everything, I have no problem with talking with anyone about anything. But make that first step. And then you've got people, there are programs in place, that there are free programs in place that you can get information and resources that can help you move further in your journey toward healing and everything. I mean, like I said, I'm certified in mental health first aid. I have access to all kinds of programs that I can tell people about that are, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can talk to somebody about whatever it is that you're dealing with. But most people, I mean, even with my staff at work, you'd be surprised what people don't know they have access to working different jobs. And that fear of everyone knowing their business, and that fear of stepping out and putting that information out, keeps them from searching for resources because
Okay.
they'd rather deal with it by themselves, thinking that, oh, I got this. And you may have it, but it's easier the more you find people that are in line with what you're trying to do.
Okay. Tina?
It's not a tough one, but it's hard because I think everybody's different. But to piggyback on what Rosby said, I think one of the first things you got to do is get up the next day, right? Because my favorite scripture comes from Psalms 35. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I never knew what that meant. I met a older lady when I worked at Arkansas Baptist College. And she was being let go, and she said that scripture. And I never really knew what she meant. And then life started lifing for me. And I realized that weeping will endure for a night. Well, some people's nights are longer than a literal night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people's nights last for a nice while, right? But joy comes in the morning. If you never get up the next day, you will never see morning. You will never have the opportunity to know what the future could hold for you if you don't just take the step to get up the next day. I don't know what your next day is going to look like, right? It could look the same and feel the same as the day before, but every day you get up, you find a little bit of energy to really try to be something more than what you were the day before. And I just encourage people to just get up the next day. And try to seek the help that you need. And every time you get knocked down and people either tell you you're lying or they don't believe you or they have some kind of sense of like, what? That doesn't even make sense. That's just a door that's being closed. That's okay. Because every door that you go to will not, even though God says knocking it shall be open, those are the doors that he opens for you. That might not be the door you're supposed to go through. You just keep knocking until the right door opens and you're able to walk through that door and see what morning looks like for you. And, if you, try to make a temporary situation a permanent one, you'll never have the opportunity to see the joy of that morning and what that really looks like and what it really means to be an overcomer and to have that test become a testimony. And so I just encourage people just to get up the next day. And from there, I can't tell you what to do. I don't know. I'm not even sure how I got through to the next day. But I just thank God that I did get up the next day and the day after that until even now when darkness comes, I still try to remember it's dark and I'm crying, but somewhere there will be joy and morning will come. I don't know when and I don't know how, but it's coming. So just stay encouraged. Keep your, as Rosby said, get you a circle, get you a support group. A lot of different resources out there. If you don't know where to turn to, reach out to Emmanuel. Emmanuel has our contact information. I can definitely try to be as much help as I can. I'm not a professional in that sense, but definitely can, try to encourage you as much as possible to move to the next day. But just get up and just try. You never know.
As y'all gonna laugh at this, but as the newly prophetess Glorilla said, at the end of the day gotta end.
He do. Oh my God, I
That
love
means
Glorilla.
so much, and that is truly a message. And I actually did a motivational video, but that's truly a message that no matter what went on today, stress, depressed, downfalls, you didn't get the job you applied for, you got an F and was hoping for an A, you argued with your mom, your dad, your car broke down. At the end of the day, guess what? This day ends to where tomorrow you get up and you get a chance to take that step forward and to keep trying and to keep pushing forward and to whatever goals you set to set new goals and achieve those goals for yourself. So she really said a word that a lot of people made fun of, but the girl said a word because at the end of the day truly has an end so that we can get up, try again, no matter if we were hurt yesterday. We still may be hurt tomorrow, but we still get up and go forward and try to find ways through that hurt to navigate to be better and grow from that hurt. So listen, I appreciate y'all for being on my podcast. If I had a lot of money, I'd pay you, but I'm broke.
And we wouldn't take it. We wouldn't take it. We would funnel it back
But,
into the Life podcast.
But on the real though, I really appreciate you guys for getting the word out, telling your story and letting people know what you dealt with, how you overcame it, how you've healed, and how you're still continuing your journey today. So with that, man, thank you, Tina. Thank you, Rosby. And we'll be getting off. Y'all be easy.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All right.